I'm not going Super Saiyan for this one because welcome back everybody to Retro Rebound. Today, you nefarious bunch have really pushed me into a funny position because I've recognized as I look into the feedback on the channel, y'all are really digging the Dragon Ball content. And as we revisit some of the worst this series has to offer, everyone's like, Maddie, come on, play some Ultimate Tenkaichi, why don't you? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna do Sagas. No, I'm gonna do Legacy of Goku 1. It's all right. Y'all have really pushed. You're like, go on, Matt, go on. I know what you're trying to set me up for because I have some history with this game and oh, it's gonna be a great story to tell here on Retro Rebound. So welcome one, welcome all to me answering a question that I think you already know the answer to. Is Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi really that bad? Yes. Yes, it absolutely is. Look, I take a lot of pride in the fact that we've created what I think is a positive place on the internet. That's pretty difficult to find, but even the nicest guys sometimes have to toughen up and stand up for themselves and say, Bandai, never do this again. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you enjoy Dragon Ball content, hold on, let me lift it up. Dragon Ball content, then you should consider subscribing. We do a lot of it, as well as nostalgic, retrospective content, so you're in the right place. Okay. I think a story needs to be told before we even do the complete in-box experience, because yes, believe it or not, this hunk of crap comes with a manual, and I'm pretty shocked by that. So, how did Maddie discover this game? I want to tell this story because of the naivety of man, okay? So, there I am, walking in the GameStop. I called it the GameStop hack, by the way, because what I did was, I didn't have any money in high school, and what I would do is I traded in enough games to get $90 of trade-in credit. So every week, Maddie would go to GameStop on a Friday, just in time for the weekend, and I would return all of the used games that I had bought from him the week before, and I'd tell him, oh, it didn't work, or I didn't really like it, and he'd give me all my money back, and I'd buy another stack of used games, and I'd keep rinsing and repeating that. So there I am on my way. By the way, the people at GameStop took it so seriously. They hated me. I'm like, it's not my fault you guys suck. Like, come on. So anyway, I pull up. I'm like, all right, what do you guys got for me today? And I'm in the Dragon Ball mood, and there you see this spine. You see Ultimate Tenkaichi. Now, I grew up with Budokai Tenkaichi, as many of you know, so I pull this off the shelf right away. I'm like, hello, what's this? You see this box out here, and you're like, wait, this is fire. I love this. I'm sold. Yes, please. So I pick it up, and I go home. I don't know a thing about this game. I'm completely going off the name of the Dragon Ball brand, the name of the Tenkaichi brand, just trusting everything there. Imagine my soul-crushing disappointment when I realized I picked up the childhood game known as rock, paper, scissors. What do I mean by that? I'll get into it when I break down the combat, but it was soul-crushing to play this game. So with that, let's get into the complete in-box experience. We have a copy for the PlayStation 3 here. The back reads, fight with furious combos and experience the new generation of Dragon Ball Z. With an all-new giant boss battle system, fully destructible environment, the first ever character creator, custom scenes, and get this is funny, enhanced battle mechanics. That's a really good joke. That's a really, I almost forgot to laugh for a moment. I had to force out a fake laugh. Enhanced battle mechanics. There isn't fighting in this game. I refuse to believe it. All right, so cracking it open, get yourself a nice manual here. Like, you hear that? That's pretty thick for 2012, I gotta be honest. That's probably the best thing I can say about the game. So you tab it open here. Of course, it's not colored. I'm glad it's not colored because if it were, then I'd be doubly disappointed that they wasted a great manual on this game. But you can see here, something that's kind of fascinating is they go through the controls, then parts of the battle screen, but they never quite break down combat like they do in typical manuals for the game. Like, here's how you fight, here's how you dodge, and here's what happens when you do. I wonder. Anyway, the hero mode is a big component of this game. One of the things that people do enjoy about it. The custom skills that you know from the Budokai and Budokai Tenkaichi games. And then you tab on over to online battles. God bless you all. I skipped that era of the game, but God bless you all who decide to play a big game of rock, paper, scissors together. And then that's the end of the manual. And then you have it in a different language here in the back with a promotion for Ultimate Ninja Storm Generations here, which is a game you probably should have picked up instead. But that is your complete in-box copy of Ultimate Tenkaichi. This cost me about 15 bucks, 15 bucks I would like to get back. You know, like what could you get with $15? Like, you know, I have a place near me that sells great pad thai for about 11. And I would rather that one-time meal that would go away forever and one day it would come out of me instead of this right here. So that's that. Let's talk about why it really is that bad. For those of you who have never played Ultimate Tenkaichi, it's time for me to cut the suspense now on this rock, paper, scissors gig I got going on here, because there are other things with the game I'd like to talk about, but it begins and ends with its combat, just like any Dragon Ball game, and especially in an era where Dragon Ball Fighters exists, you just can't tell me that this game is something you could stomach. Even back then, I wouldn't get it, because I played this around its launch window, and I was like, what? What is this, man? And it is a product of an era for Dragon Ball where every year they had to get their Dragon Ball game out. Pass or fail, it had to get out. And so you'd get your Ultimate Tenkaichis, you get your Battle of Z's, all that fun stuff. And it wasn't until Xenoverse that a lot of us felt like we were truly saved. But it was always a mixed bag. Like, what Dragon Ball game are we getting this year? Is it going to be heat? Is it going to be trash? And so this year in 2012, it was trash, and we got Ultimate Tenkaichi. So the combat system, imagine when you're playing Budokai Tenkaichi 3, if I hit you with a 5-hit combo, which auto-locks, by the way, that the only way you could get out of it is by pressing a face button that I press. So let's say I press square, and you press square, congrats, you got out of it. No skill required, none of that, no vanishing, nothing, no. Just imagine you press the same button I do. Now imagine after that you press the wrong button, like I press square and you press triangle. What if I told you you're guaranteed to be smacked around for another about 10 hits, and then another rock, paper, scissors match pops up, and you see a thumbstick, and it's like, go to the left or right. You got a 50-50 chance of stopping me. And no, it has nothing to do with mechanics, talent. What if I told you I went left and you went right, and because of that I hit you another 10 more times? That is the combat of Ultimate Tenkaichi in a nutshell. No exaggeration, no dramatic flair. It is literally rock, paper, scissors. Remember when you used to get on the playground, you made those, you know, who's gonna go first? Rock, paper, scissors says shoot. Rock, paper, scissors says shoot. You played Ultimate Tenkaichi years ago and you didn't even realize. The only difference is that you see dudes with glowing hair punching the life out of each other instead. What I will say as a compliment here is as you watch this gameplay, you very well may be entertained. Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi is a wonderful game to watch. It is amazing in its presentation, like its visuals, its actual cinematics as you see the camera flip around, the slow motion as characters get ready to strike each other, and that's where the rock, paper, scissors stuff begins. Like, that type of stuff is raw, man. Like, I really like how this game presents itself. It may not be great, but again, just the way it looks, it's what fuels me to get angry. Because I look at it and think, if you just had the most basic, bare bones combat system, like Budokai 1 even, this game would probably be goated just on presentation alone. But instead, it's QTEs and cutscenes the game. And that's a shame, because there's so much here that you could really like about it. For example, the hero mode. This is where we're starting to get a little bit of a taste of what you may get in Xenoverse. Really, the true precursor to Xenoverse was Battle of Z. At least that game was worth something, because I think Xenoverse 1 and 2 are awesome. But yeah, when it comes to Ultimate Tenkaichi, you get to create your own character. It's a little bit limited. Your character's fully voiced. You meet the nicest Captain Ginyu of all time. This man hands you out, hands you a Dragon Ball after you beat his butt, and he offers you a position as the leader of the Ginyu Force. You're like, nah, man, I'm out of here. What I learned more than anything about this game, though, is this game is well and truly an Ultimate Ninja Storm wannabe. So around the time that Dragon Ball was tapering off just ever so slightly, in my opinion, especially in the quality of its games, Ultimate Ninja Storm was really rising up with Ultimate Ninja Storm 1, 2, 3, 4, Generations. Like, it was just a really strong stretch. It was much like this game, not a great fighter as far as I'm concerned, but it presented well. And unlike this game, the fighting in Ultimate Ninja Storm wasn't cutscenes. Did they change camera perspectives? Yes, but you could absolutely do substitution jutsus to break out of certain combos and not get fully locked in. So it wasn't like you were pinned down the second someone hit you 2 times. But as I said, on the back of the box here, you have these giant battles. And these giant battles are pretty much those big summoning fights you'd see at the end of major moments in Naruto. That's literally this in this game. Except, again, it's bad. But, like, it's funny because it's such a copycat. Like, you see the same QTEs with the same bar ticking down. It makes sense. It's the same publisher, so they shared assets. It's clear as day. But it's amazing how much it fails to even be that. And look, I like CyberConnect. Like, I think the Demon Slayer game is rad. I think Ultimate Ninja Storm is rad. Like, Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 is still one of my favorite Naruto games ever. Love, love, love it. But those games are not complex fighters at all. They present well. They are amazing in fan service. I love everything about them that they try to be, but they are not deep fighters. And even this game couldn't get it right. And one thing that I've always just couldn't wrap my head around is like, why this combat system? Why do this? And it's because the combat system was cranked in reviews for years and years and years to be repetitive and simple. And much like I've said with the Dragon Ball franchise before, with like Legacy of Goku and Boo's Fury, like, you listen to the reviewers too much and you lose the core product. Same thing I could actually say with this series here, Mega Man Battle Network. It could have had the same problem, but fortunately, Capcom was wise enough to say, screw you all, this game is selling well, our fans like it, and we're gonna continue to drop bangers. 6, in fact. Whereas with Dragon Ball, they read the reviews, are like, Budokai Tenkaichi, it's repetitive. So what do? They tried to introduce a strategic layer to the game, and that's where you get your rock, paper, scissors. And that is such a shame, because there are cool wrinkles in this game. Like, one thing I like is in the hero mode, when you create your own character, exploring the overworld was awesome. Like, seeing what Budokai Tenkaichi 2 did, but it was beautiful. It looked so good. It felt like you were rewarded for your long ride with the Dragon Ball franchise, and that here the next generation of Tenkaichi is here. And by the way, before anyone thinks I'm like fanboying Tenkaichi in general, like, I love Budokai Tenkaichi 2. That's my favorite Dragon Ball game, but like, I don't hold allegiance to these franchises at all. Like, I just want a good Dragon Ball game. It could have been Dragon Ball Ultimate PP Poo Poo Man, and I just would have been like, all right, cool. Like, how's the fighting? It doesn't matter. But Tenkaichi, when you tie yourself to that franchise, that is saying something. Whether you like it or not, whether you don't want the responsibility, I don't care. You put Tenkaichi in the box, you got to live up to that to some extent. And when those are fighting games with really high combo counts, and then you make a rock, paper, scissors generator, come on now, that is painful. But the hero mode, like I said, has this cool wrinkle where you can pick people to train with, and when you train with them, your skills will raise and you'll learn new moves and new supers, and you start to see design elements from Xenoverse creep ever so slightly into this game. And I really do like that. But the problem with the rock, paper, scissors isn't even the tedium and the boredom it provides. The main problem with it, really more than anything, is that all these cool looking characters pretty much play exactly the same. So yeah, your Cell is going to play the same as your Android 17, who's going to play the same as your Goku, who's going to play the same as your Piccolo, who's going to play the same as your Vegeta, who's going to play the same as your Trunks. It doesn't matter who you are, you all control the same. And what's hilarious is even back on the PS2, the most simple characters still played a little bit differently. Even when you had an absolutely bloated roster in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, you could at least say, hey, they play a little bit differently. Certain characters stun lock at different points in the combos. Certain characters are quicker than others. Some are slower than others. Some have more Ki Blast finishers than others. Some have more melee finishers than others. There is a differentiation in the combat and in the roster. And that's everything that Dragon Ball lives and dies by. And when you got this game that says, you don't need any of that, you lose everything. And all you have is presentation and imitation. And those are the two worst Asians you can be in gaming, honestly. Imitation, though, can be a form of flattery. Again, if this combat system was good and if they really did nail that Ultimate Ninja Storm feel, I could be about that. Like, you kind of got a taste of what Ultimate Ninja Storm Dragon Ball would be like many years later when, you guessed it, the creators of Ultimate Ninja Storm, CyberConnect 2, rolled on in and said, here is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and this game rocks. Yeah, is it simple just like the Ultimate Ninja Storm combat? Of course, but it absolutely makes up for some of the poor animation just based off age alone for Dragon Ball Z, and makes some of the best scenes that we've seen in Dragon Ball ever. Like, it's awesome, it's epic, and it's so funny that they got shown up by their own squad twice. So yeah, Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi really is that bad. I think like it's cool that the story presents itself well because of the cutscenes, because of the animation. Like, it is fun to watch, but that is it. Like, if you watch the Let's Play online, that's about as engaging as I think it gets. But I remember slogging through this game because like when I got a game, like even if it was for a week, I didn't have the gas. Like, I'd just stay home and just play it as much as I could and try to make the most of it. And that was one miserable week. Not only was I in high school still, but I was playing Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi. So it's a game that I think you should avoid at all costs. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all I gotta say on this wonderful gem. With that, do you agree? Do you think it's really that bad? Because I was reading some of the comments online before. I like to see how the community's feeling about a certain game before I dive in, just to know what to expect. And there were some people who were like, man, I'm so nostalgic about this game. This was so cool back then. Are you sure about that, my friend? I'm not trying to be patronizing, but are you sure? Because this is, like, you can have a soft spot. Look, I get it. I like Sonic 06, so I get it. But there's bad games, and then there's pretty much games that play themselves. And I would rather an atrocious game like Sonic 06 than a game that plays itself. Look at me, I'm having a mid-off with myself. That's enough for me. I'm here to hear from you now. So please do fire away. With that, take great care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.